Hello, 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 it's me again. Who else would it be? I'm standing here wearing my awesome piratey pants all kitted up for ship battles. Although I am not actually doing a battle today, I am going to give you an all-inclusive tour of the beautiful pirate ship, which is sitting just over here. I figure I'll just do a quick swing around it and show off some of the features and fun facts about how it was built. I might try to do this with a few more ships as I go along too, because there's some interesting stories behind some of them. So the pirate ship right here, the first ship that we ever built, I actually built this one just in a random little bay. You can tell that it's completely built just for this game. It is not extremely structurally sound at all. It's pretty much just a little platform with cannons on it for shooting at people. It's not all that well built. If you look at the bow here, it's incredibly misshapen. That's the result of an accident. When we first lined up the ships before we had whirled at it, the other ship was over here and we were still building it, and someone shot the cannons off and blew the bow off of this ship, so we just kind of fast reconstructed it in 5 minutes and never bothered to go back and do a good job with it. Just kind of threw random blocks in places until it didn't look terrible. So now it looks just mediocre, which is a nice feature of the ship. It kind of defines it as the first one. It really is just a platform with guns on it, like most of the ships. If you look underwater, it's got no depth. It's just flat. Although, interesting fact about this, the actual hull of the ship, I think is 3 thick, yeah. This is the thickest of pretty much any ship. Even the man of war only is 1 or 2 thick. So that's just a little interesting tidbit. This is definitely one of the sturdiest ships on the bottom deck. Not everywhere else though. The sails here, both of them have ladders. Obviously, you can probably tell that if you've ever seen the videos or played on them. But when they were originally designed, it was impossible to walk on the same block as a fence. So getting up onto the top of the mast was quite a challenge. You'd have to scooch over to the side here and often fall off and kill yourself. That's why on this side there's little catching platforms, because everybody was just dying by fall and not actually dying by playing the game. The chests over on this ship are pretty standard. They're kind of like what we base other chests off of. They've got these redstone kits here for repairing all the cannons, just some basic arrows, boarding supplies, no special stuff with the swords, little food to get you through the fight. Overall, completely nothing special, but enough. This works really well for 2 people, 4 people. This is a good larger sized game ship. The captain's quarters, the most decorative feature on the ship. We used to, when we first started playing, everybody used to start here by the stairs, which is kind of the ship's wheel. We'd start at the helm, but we figured out that nobody actually knew what a helm was when we said to the helm, or everybody was too busy getting stuff from the chests before they were allowed to, so we just changed the rules to accommodate that and said you can start by the chests and take things beforehand. So we actually kind of gave in from our original rule system, and I think it turned out better. The cannons, now, like, one of the first things you'll notice with the ship is that there are a lot of cannons, and it seems like it would be unbalanced against a lot of ships, but it is rather counterbalanced by the cannons themselves. They're up on this platform. I don't know why we did that, but it turned out pretty well in the end. And the frustrating thing about them is if I game mode 0 here, you can't actually stand on the cannon and fire it because it's going to hurt you, or it's not going to hurt me because I have God mode on, but I was playing Spleef earlier. Yeah, it is going to hurt you if you stand like this considerably, and so that's often not an option. So what you end up having to do is shoot it and then jump down here, and all of a sudden you're way out of the point of view. And because it's so important to see where the TNT lands exactly so you can figure out delay, you end up being at a bit of a disadvantage. Go back into creative here because I don't want to get killed. So yeah, that is a slight disadvantage. It can be pretty tricky if you're trying to fire, say, these middle guns and not get injured in a blast. You kind of have to hit it and sprint all the way around here and hope you're not getting shot at. So the top deck guns work pretty well, but they can be a little tricky to use at times. These end guns are actually shorter. This one's only 3. This one is 4 again, and it was just kind of done to make room at the time, but it ends up making them relatively useless. This one I almost never see anyone use. It just does not go the distance 100% of the time. Now going below decks, it's fairly spacious here. There's a big hole where I made one, but it's fairly spacious in here, except for over here in the back where you've got this one gun that is crammed, and as a result nobody ever uses this hatch to get down. They just simply use the mid decks one, because you have to kind of fight your way over this gun. Being a double decked ship with, you know, the other guns are right underneath here. Now this does suffer from the disadvantages of most double decked ships, in that while I'm loading here, my teammate's loading above and he can shoot, and the damage, whatever the knockback from the blast can actually injure me. So you do take quite a beating if you work this ship with a large crew and you have people on the upper and lower decks. However, a lot of people don't tend to move to the lower decks until the upper deck is destroyed. So that's not a big deal. And that ends up being because if you shoot out of this, you can tell the difference from the upper deck shots. It catches on the lip and ends up being a lot more level in the trajectory. And that really just ends up being you have to fiddle with the delay more, but you know, it takes extra work, extra skill, and so it usually is a later point in the battle that you want to move down there. That's pretty much it for the mechanics of the ship. There is one special exciting feature to it, which is the powder room, and that is just over here. You know, right behind this wall. Obviously you're not allowed to go through here and delete the TNT. You've got your credit sign here in case somebody tries to credit it as their own. That'll always be there. But yeah, you do have the powder room there, and if a boarder manages to get on board and can stop up this cannon, if you noticed I stopped up the source block so this cannon would no longer work, but if I were to set this off like this, it would detonate the powder room. That does feel a little bit impractical a lot of times. It is difficult to get on board because you have to, you know, kind of muscle your way up this ladder and probably past the crew to get that done, but you know, if you can pull it off. The far more efficient way is just to take a boat around the back, and the TNT is against one of these walls here, so you kind of just slap a whole bunch of buttons on and push them and pray that they blow up the TNT and hit your mark, and that you get away fast enough, which a lot of times people don't. The powder room, while it's a big negative, it actually adds a lot of defensive possibilities to the ship. For example, if I'm sitting here and I see the nameplate of someone circling around the back, I know they're back there fumbling with the buttons, so I'll just kind of stack this with TNT. You know, I'll throw a button right here and set it off, because as I go around, this will blow up the powder room. Oh, maybe it won't blow up the powder room. That is a trap failed right there. Let's say I took off the door though, and this actually did work. Now the TNT spread out to about here is the kill radius in some spots. So pretty much anybody that was back here trying to blow it up with the fancy button trick is going to get killed. The ship does lend itself to a lot of self-destruction tactics. You know, if I know somebody's boarding me, it's fairly easy just to blow a hole in the decking and take them out, or at least get a better vantage point from which to shoot them. But that is all just kind of delving into strategy. I thought this wasn't rendering, it turns out just the back of the ship is gone. I should have known that. But that pretty much does it for the pirate ship, which is kind of busted up now. It's a very simple ship. It's very balanced, easy for people to use if they want to shoot cannons. You know, if you've got some cannon know-how, even if you don't, it's a good ship for you because the top guns get some pop and makes it easy to hit the other ship. So it's one of the most solidly balanced ships in the entire collection. You know, it's a great fallback if you don't know what to choose. So that wraps it up for the pirate ship. Adios.